we're in now a labor crisis in healthcare. How do you look past the immediate temporary nature of what's going on with the workforce right now? And what do you build for the future?
I think it's hard to look past what's temporary. I always like to, try to put myself in the position of the leaders that we're trying to work with, that we're trying to collaborate with as innovators, and I think it's pretty difficult. I think healthcare has really for the better part of the last 50 years. I mean, I think since Medicaid, Medicare, and all this stuff kind of came into existence, really not had its fundamental value network disrupted in any meaningful way. The regulatory apparatus is highly protective of it. And we, look, I think because of that, and because we've been able to leverage certificates of need and lobbying organizations and things of that nature, we've not really needed to build a competency around innovation, because there was never a threat in the market for competition. I think that what wasn't priced in was the potential fundamental systemic threat of a change in society that COVID-19 brought about, right? And so now the workforce, which is the key cog in the healthcare system, has been disrupted. It's been disrupted in every single industry, right? I mean, anybody who talks to anybody who has the job of trying to hire people right now is hearing all the woes from that. But I think you then have to price in the prior to pandemic issues that were already going on between administrators and the workforce, right? Specifically the clinical workforce. And then now that clinical workforce had to experience the pandemic, and probably no segment of the American workforce struggled more than the clinical workforce. And so it's pretty difficult to look past the temporary. Innovation, I think, in healthcare does require a long view. A long view is taken differently based on the kind of company you are, right? So if you are a super large, for-profit, publicly traded company, right? Okay, you're dealing with quarterly earnings reports, you're dealing with the street, you're dealing with all of that analysis. You have a very sort of different, you have the benefit of having probably a pretty good balance sheet, probably decent markets that you're in, and probably, some pretty good payer contracts. And so, that's sort of your dilemma. You can swing to the other side of the fence, think about a safety net hospital, right? And the thin margins, dealing with the underinsured, the difficulty of that work setting, and not having the balance sheet, right? So there's no one size fits all answer for this problem. There's just not. But I think hopefully what we as leaders are learning is innovation is a fundamental imperative of leadership. It's actually a dereliction of duty to not have innovation as part of your core fundamental strategy in the way that makes sense for your organization, right? And not window dressing, not a person who has a title but actually has no backing and no capability, and it's not fundamentally built into your strategic plan. It's got to be there, right? And I think it should be custom built, because every organization is different. It's in a different geography, it's in a different market, it's got different payer mix, it's got different patient population. But the absence of it, I think, is the big miss that generally the industry suffered from.